All right. And welcome everyone to the Husky Boy Project. We're on a mission to let mass move the masses. And today I'm super excited to have Tyler Epstein, a guy I've known for, I don't know, probably like 10 years, right?
Probably 10 plus years at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't been super connected over those years, kind of sporadic, but every time I see this man, it's like a brotherly love.
Yeah.
So super excited to kind of talk to you today about your journey. I have a lot of questions, even hanging out after your college football experience, to really dive into, because I'm so curious about that aspect of the world and how they teach, nurture, and coach nutrition and training in that level of sport versus how you as a high school coach, right, teach
Right.
that as well. So there's a lot of different aspects I want to get into today with you, but if you could tell the audience a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your Husky Boy journey,
Yeah.
trials, tribulations, and then we'll kind of dive into these different pieces.
All right.
And
What's up,
excuse
guys?
me, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm going to be drinking a lot of fluids during this. I
Yeah,
just
no
got
worries.
done with a 13 miler. So just bear with us in the ice. I'll try and mute it.
Yeah. No worries. All right, guys. What's up? My name's Tyler. I guess to start off, I was a high school football player and wrestler. Was actually a heavyweight wrestler. I was a light heavyweight, but still a heavyweight nonetheless. Went to college football, played linebacker. I had 5 knee surgeries from my senior year in high school until when I was done with college. 5 total knee surgeries, 3 which were pretty serious. After college football, I thought that I could keep eating and keep doing the things I was doing with my nutrition that I did in college, and I would just be okay. For my first year after college, I didn't run a single mile or lift a single weight. I actually got up to about 270 pounds. I don't have the picture. I lost it on my old phone, but I took a picture of myself in the mirror and I said, this has got to stop. At lunch, I was eating half a Casey's pizza. I was drinking way too much booze. I wasn't taking care of myself. I didn't feel good. I started running and started lifting again. The running though was just brutal on my knees. I couldn't do it. I lost a lot of weight, but I was in so much pain. I hurt so bad. So I bought a bike on Craigslist. It was actually too big for me. It was a cyclocross bike, which is kind of like a road bike. I started getting into it. I did a sprint distance triathlon, and then I did an Olympic distance triathlon, and then I did a half Ironman about a year after I started riding. I really enjoyed riding the bike, and I didn't like the running still. But I had a goal of a triathlon, and so after I did the half Ironman, I said, you know what, I'm done with this swimming and running crap. And I fully committed to cycling, and I sold that bike and got one that fit me. And now 7 years later, 8 years later, whatever it is, I've got 5 bicycles and I weigh 215 pounds.
That's awesome. Yeah. Honestly, you look like the healthiest I've ever seen you. And I remember you in college, like you were meaty, you were juicy, right?
Yeah.
Like, outside linebacker, speed, strength, like everything that you would want to see in that position. Right.
Right.
Um,
Well, yeah, I was actually an inside linebacker,
Inside. Okay.
and I looked every bit of it too. I
Yeah.
was heavy, and then add another 25 pounds to what you saw me at, Darren.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can imagine but it wasn't good weight.
Yeah. It's just 25 pounds of extra. And yeah, I don't think I ever got to see you in that format. I mean,
No.
I'm sure you've, and just to give some context on how Tyler and I actually know each other. My best friend growing up, Billy Hallgren, became Tyler's best friend in college, because Billy was the kicker on Northern Iowa's team, and Epstein was a linebacker. So just to give a little context on the connection here, guys. Um,
Correct.
no, that's interesting, and I'm I'm just starting to find cycling, right? And I'm just starting to get into it. But like, I guess what kind of drew you to that sport? Just like, I know that I need to be active, and I know this is not going to be impactful to my body.
I got to be 100% honest. When I was in college, this kid I knew was talking about doing this big bike trip across the country on his bike after college, and I thought that sounded so cool. And so I bought a bike to like do that eventually. Now time didn't allow me to do that, but I was like, you know what? If I can just do small rides, this feels way better on my knees.
Yeah.
So I bought this bike. I had a cheap helmet, flat pedals. Didn't even have bike shorts. First ride I did like 50 miles. I like did it full out. I couldn't even walk after that. And like, it took me forever to do those 50 miles, but I was instantly hooked because I remember the way I felt after the ride. And I remember that I didn't have that same knee pain that I had after running. So while I haven't done a tour like that, I've gotten into the sport, and it's absolutely 100% changed my life.
Yeah. And there's multiple ways that you're riding. Like,
Yeah.
you have your own channel. I don't know if you want to, you spit that
Yeah.
YouTube channel out here real quick.
I have a YouTube channel. It's called Ty's Rides. Just all one word, TYSRIDES. I started it about 1.5 years ago or so, 2 years ago almost. I've got over 2,000 subscribers at this point.
Awesome.
And what I do is I try to share my love of cycling. I have mountain biking content. I have gravel content.
Yeah.
I have road content. I do a little bit of how-tos. I try to document my experiences and, get people excited, because I really do love it. I'm not just out to ride to make videos. I'm out because I love to ride. You know what I'm saying?
So as a layman to like the sport, I mean, I didn't even know that there was like gravel rides. So you like you like have a bike for gravel, or you change your tires up, like all
I have a gravel specific
That's crazy.
bike. I'll take you guys.
Yeah, let's get a tour.
I have a bike room in my house. So my race gravel bike is carbon. It's got Meteor tires.
Oh shit.
They're tubeless. It's a little wider tire.
Okay.
And my full suspension mountain bike stays in this room too. And this one has a rear shock, front shock. These are my two nice bikes. And then I got cycling over here. And then I'll take you guys into the garage, and that's where I keep my old gravel bike, my hardtail mountain bike, and then my road bike.
And do you road bike probably mostly?
To be honest, I mix it all up. I really probably do the three disciplines about even. So here in the garage, this is my old gravel bike, which is now my commuter.
Okay, yeah.
If I ever do a tour, I'll do it on that one. There's a road bike, Cannondale.
Yep.
See that?
Yep.
And then got the work area over here with the bike stand, all the tools. And then this is my hardtail mountain bike.
Hardtail mountain bike.
Mid-fat tire.
Yeah.
Those tires are real fat. Yeah.
Yep. That's what I have. That was the first mountain bike I got. You can tell me if I got a good deal.
Okay.
Do you know about Konas?
I do. My that green bike in there is a Kona.
So I got a Kona Hanzu.
Yeah, great bike.
I got it for $850.
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah, dude, that's a wonderful deal. When did you buy it?
Like 2 months ago. I bought it when people weren't buying anything, and I went and I negotiated
but you got
the deal.
it right before that pandemic. Right now, you can't find bikes because everyone's riding bikes, so you got a hell of a deal.
Yeah, I got it like right as everything was starting, and like right as like people were scared and holding on to their money. I went down there and I was like, I asked the sales guy, I'm like, how many bikes have you like sold this week? He goes, honestly, like nothing. I'm like, I'm gonna lowball this bike. I really like it. And so I did, and the sales manager's like, fuck it, yeah. And so I went up to checkout, and the guy was like, how much are they charging you? I'm like, $850. He goes, no, you're not buying this bike for $850. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And he called the sales manager in back, and the guy's like, yeah, sell it for $850. And the dude's like, bro, you just got like a fucking deal.
No, that's a stellar deal, especially during this pandemic, because now people have started to buy used bikes like crazy because everyone's bored and they want to get outside and ride.
Yeah. I'm so thankful to live in this area instead of like where I was in Chicago, like during this shit. I mean, I know you're a little away from Kansas City, so you have some more space out where you are, right? So it's a little.
Yeah, I'm super jealous for one that you get to live in Idaho in that area, because the mountain biking there is like world class. Yeah. And the road biking is good too, from what I understand. And there's gravel. There's actually this chick, Rebecca Rush. She's an endurance female athlete. She lives in Idaho. She does this race every year called Rebecca's Private Idaho. And it's like this huge gravel race, and it's like one of the biggest ones in the world. So it's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I'm 25 minutes south of Kansas City. I'm 6 miles from gravel roads, and I'm about a 8-minute drive from the best Kansas City mountain bike trails. So I can drive to the mountain bike trails, and then I can ride my bike to the gravel roads, or I can just do a road ride around my house. So I've kind of got a little bit of everything right here, which is really, really nice.
That's awesome. T, I want to definitely talk to you about kind of a little bit diving into like college and whatnot, but I think first and foremost, like just to align with like what I'm trying to do with the Husky Boy Project, which is impact younger generations to understand how to kind of just take control of their life and
I
feel
love,
empowered.
first of all, I love it. I love what you're doing. That's why I reached out.
Yeah. And that's, for me, like some of the most impactful things that I ever heard as a kid growing up were from coaches, whether positive or negative. Right. And, that's another aspect of what you do, right? Like
Yes.
you coach wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Still, and football.
And I was a strength and conditioning coach in the summers for 7 years.
And you were that. Okay. And you're also you're an educator.
Yes.
And what do you teach right now?
I'm certified in social studies,
Okay.
but I'm actually the alternative school teacher, and I do Missouri options. I help kids who are at risk of failing out recover credits, and I also help kids do a program. It's called Missouri Options, where they're able to take a test and get a high school diploma, but they have to report to me 15 hours a week for schoolwork, and they still have to basically work. They have to work during this time. And once they pass that test, they're able. It's for kids who maybe can't be in school. They have situations where they're forced to work. Well, they're able to still get a high school diploma and work and come to school for 15 hours a week at the same time.
That's
so
awesome.
That's my job. It's a really good job. I'm really lucky. I can commute to work on my bike. I'm close enough, so I'm pretty lucky.
Dude, no, that's a wonderful gig.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what you call like giving back.
I'm super lucky, and I work with great people. And the school district I work for is amazing. I'm really lucky.
So when it comes to younger students, the way you train especially your student athletes, right? Like, I'm sure with wrestling, you probably get some of the bigger kids, right? The bigger kids are always the ones that are, nervous to take off their clothes, nervous
to wear a singlet and wrestling or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff, which was the exact same experience that I had. Like nothing has changed in that mindset of the overweight youngster. Right. And so I'm curious, like how do you approach them to teach self power? Do you ask them probing questions like what's making you feel this way? Like I'm so curious, how you adjust these things.
That's a great question. And I'm actually the heavyweight coach basically for my school because I'm the heaviest coach and I was a heavyweight. Yeah. I think the biggest thing is fun. I'm the head freshman football coach. I was the varsity linebackers coach for 4 years. The last 4 years I've been the freshman head coach. Yeah. I want them to have fun. And confidence obviously is huge, but the biggest thing is fun. I'm not there we want to win games at freshman level, but the most important thing is those kids are having fun and they're enjoying their experience so they come back. For wrestling, I want to build confidence. When you get an overweight freshman kid who doesn't know how to wrestle, you got to build him up. I mean, when you break a kid down and you demoralize him, that's the worst thing you can do as a coach. If you get a kid that doesn't win a match, point out the positives of the things he did. If he was aggressive in the match but didn't, get a takedown, point out that he was aggressive. If you get a kid who never takes a shot and he takes one shot in a match and he doesn't get in on that shot, but he took that shot, point that out. But then also help them learn and help them grow. I think the coaches that build kids up, those are the best coaches you have. The ones that constantly break them down, that's going to demoralize that kid. He's not going to come back and wrestle as a sophomore, or he may quit as a freshman. And you'd be amazed at how many kids get hooked and buy in and really make something of themselves. I think when I was in middle school, I started in 7th grade. I won 1 or 2 matches. I did not win much. By the time I was done as a senior, I was a state champion. Because I had coaches that they built me up and I bought in and they showed that they believed in me. And that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And then from I think probably high school is probably too early to teach the foundations of nutrition, but are you having those conversations with your athletes, especially your heavyweights?
We absolutely do. Okay. We actually have a full-time strength coach. We're a big Kansas City school, and we have a guy who's in the weight room full-time, and he comes in during the wrestling season every year, actually. The last 2 years he has, and he does a whole spreadsheet on nutrition. Because not only for the big kids, but those little kids, if they're trying to cut weight, they have to do it healthy. You can't just shut off your food and water supply. You've got to eat the right things. You've got to do things healthy. And then you'd be surprised at how much weight you do lose by eating the right things. And for the bigger kids, I mean, the the reasons are obvious, the benefit of him talking for them, because they're going to lose weight. Shoot, just by the 2 hours of activity they do at wrestling each day, maybe the 45 minutes of weights, if they tweak their diet a little bit, they're going to lose weight. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
so do you see, like, I know for me, like growing up, like, it was the sugary sodas, like all that. Is it the same exact thing that these kids are eating? That's
same thing. Thing. When we were in school, whatever, I don't even know, 15 years, whatever it was.
The chips, the fries, the pasta at lunch, like
same stuff, man. Same stuff. And I'll say this, they say the lunches have gotten healthier. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think maybe they've just gotten less tasty.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
But you see the same things. If kids, if they don't have the healthy stuff, or if they have healthier stuff at lunch, they're going to find a way to get their fix, whether it be getting fast food, whether it be bringing their junk food. They need to be educated. I mean, it's huge. It's a big part of it for sure.
No, that's really interesting. Yeah. So as far as like training goes for wrestling, I know a lot wrestling at that age, especially freshmen, it's really about technique, the various moves still. But when you're getting into your junior, senior year, you're trying to build some really good strength too.
Yes.
I'm curious what principles you use, when it comes to strength training, not only just for football, but wrestling. And are they the same, or do they vary in different ways? I'm just kind of, as a coach, as strength and conditioning coach, I think sports specific training is always super important, but
sure. While I was one of the assistant strength and conditioning coaches in the summer for the past, I guess I did it for the previous 6 years. I didn't do it last year or this year, but I did it for 6 years, and we lifted Monday through Thursday. It was very structured. You'd have a timer. You'd have groups of 3 at each rack, and they had their sheets. They kept each other accountable. You had strength coaches floating, but first of all, you've got to focus on your technique. If you're squatting and you're bending your back, if you're cleaning and you don't have a tight lower back and you're not using your hips correctly. So I think the first week really focused on that, just their technique. But then after that, squats were huge for them. Hang cleans were huge. Power cleans were huge. Not so much those lifts of we would bench 1 day a week, I believe, in some form, but the bench is not going to be the most beneficial thing for them. Building that overall healthy core, that healthy max, really focused on the squats, the cleans, the hang cleans. You would do your get buff lifts, but it was more, those functional lifts that we focused on.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Sorry, my daughter's interrupting.
You're fine. She can chill.
Yeah, but I want some eggs, like 1 egg on the tablet.
Okay. My dog spit out an egg on the carpet.
She's got to let you know.
All right.
Thanks for letting him know. That was nice.
You want to say hi to Tyler real quick? Okay.
And then 2
Number 2
on the ground.
Oh,
on the ground. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Well,
what's your name?
This is Lily.
Hi, Lily.
Hi.
Hi.
This is usually a typical, at least once in a podcast interruption.
Yeah, man.
These days.
Oh, good.
See you, kiddo. No, that makes complete sense. Yeah, I've always been, the believer of like.
Then the cardio. We will do cardio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We go outside, every day, and we do some sort of agilities, bleachers, sprints on the field. But there is your cardio mixed in. We're not just doing the strength stuff. There is cardio.
So like when I was in college, like, because I did, shot put, discus,
right.
you have to have explosion, right, in those movements. So we did a lot of plyometrics. Is that something that you guys also are doing? Like
that's built.
That's part of your cardio day.
That's built into your cardio.
Okay.
The plyos for sure, 100%.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm always so curious. I think I've always been a big believer in like 5-3-1 for strength building. That type of the typical Wendler and making sure you have good cardiovascular. I've clearly. I mean, you've dabbled in multiple different types of training, right? Like you did your training, you did probably training specific for wrestling. Then you got really into training specific for football. You did CrossFit, right?
I dabbled in CrossFit.
Dabbled.
And I got back, it was back to the thing with my knees.
Yeah.
So if you want to know my routine, I do still work out 3 days a week.
Yep.
As far as weights, I go Monday, Wednesday, Friday for roughly an hour, maybe a little bit more. I do a push-pull type workout.
Split.
Some days it'll barbell, some days dumbbells. But every push I do, I combine with a pull. You know, if I'm doing bench, I'm supersetting it with pull-ups, bent rows, upright rows. My knees, my legs do come from the bike. I bike about 6 days a week. Right now I'm at 202 miles on the week. And I'm going to ride today. And that there's 2 mountain bike days in there too. I did 100 miles on the gravel on Tuesday. Yeah. I did 61 miles on the road on Thursday. So I'm that's my legs. That's kind of my leg workout. And I'm not suggesting that, you know, kids out there, you want to do your squats, you want to do your cleans. Those are super important. But for me, I'm 32 years old, and the bike is where I kind of get my legs just because of the knee problems I've had. But I still do my upper body lifts. I still do that.
Yeah. And everyone needs to kind of understand too, like, and you messaged me this too. It's like, some people don't have the best genetics to be like under heavyweight for a long period of time. For me, I'm with you. I've got bad ankles. I have the flattest feet on fucking earth. Yeah. I got bone spurs on my patellas, like from all like the strain. So like, and for you had 5 knee surgeries, you know, by the time you're done with college. So like, you can't, when you have injury, you have to be able to adapt into something else that you can love and sustain for whatever lifestyle you want to live. Right. And there's plenty of cool shit that burns tons of cardio. I mean, fuck, man. I was just reading a Golf Digest where whether you push a cart or carry a bag for 18 holes, it burns like 2,500 calories.
I'd much rather do that than sit on a cart and gain weight while I'm golfing.
You know, exactly. Like,
that's my problem with golf, man. I feel like I ride around that cart, and if I do anything, I gain weight while I'm golfing. I like golf, but I don't feel like I'm benefiting physically, you know.
If you walk it, you're good. Like, there's so many different options to move, especially for you know, the Husky community. I've had the privilege to talk to many people in kind of private conversations, you know, within messages, or like, you know, love what you're doing, blah blah.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to, you know, a lot of these people are still finding what works for them, you know, like, finding what makes them happy, finding what makes them feel good, how they can be pain-free and feel healthy. And it's not just the training piece, right? Like, how do you eat? Like, I mean, your body is probably burning calories, so you could probably eat pretty.
So can you say, I want to go back to, you said love, finding something you love what you do. I think if you don't love it, you're not going to do it. You're not going to have success. That's the biggest thing you just said.
Yep.
I didn't love running, so I found cycling, and I love that. Someone might not love cycling. Someone may love golf, but you know what? Push that cart, but get moving. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. You truly have to love it. But as far as my calories and what I consume, I have to, if I do a 100-mile ride, I've got to kind of have a big dinner the night before, and I've got to have a decent breakfast. But the one thing I'm going to point out is I do not eat out. If I eat out, it's Chipotle. That's not a cheat. That's not a cheat. Yeah. That's the only place I eat out. And if I don't have those calories for 100 or 60-mile bike ride or whatever, I'm going to bonk. I'm going to die. You know, it's not going to be fun. I won't have the energy. But I think the biggest key is I kind of eat what I want. I lay off the carbs at home. I will have some of that low-calorie bread. I had some brats last night, and I had some low-calorie bread. This morning, I'm going to go on a big mountain bike ride. It's 100 degrees here and humid in the Midwest. You know how that is, Darren. It's humid. I had hash browns. I had 3 eggs and some bacon. But that's my big meal for the day. I will have a small bar, a protein bar or something before I go ride, maybe. I may have a bar. There's some nutrition I eat while I'm biking. Maybe that. I'll have some scratch. It's fluid. It's electrolytes on the bike. and then I'll have a decent dinner because I've just burned. I've been biking 20 miles on mountain bike trails. But I think you have to realize I wouldn't have had that massive breakfast if there was no ride. I may have just had the bacon and some eggs. But I knew I needed that potato, that hash brown. So you kind of got to have it in your head. You got to be cognizant. Okay, what am I doing today? Can I have this? That's really important. And no fast food.
It's an energy balance, right?
Yes.
So you're telling me you have like no, and I have a segment on here where I call Husky Boy tendencies. Mm-hmm. You have no secret tendencies. You don't sneak a donut here and there.
I'm glad you brought that up. I do like Bluebell ice cream.
Bluebell ice cream.
And I guess that's kind of a vice. That's in the freezer right now. I can show you guys. I'm not gonna lie.
When do you have that? After like just
after dinner? I will have some Bluebell a few hours, an hour after dinner. Okay. I do it in moderation. I don't need a tub a night. I'll have a bowl or whatever, a small bowl. But I do that knowing like, hey,
I'm gonna hit it harder.
You got to go earn this. You got to go earn this. You got to go on your ride. And sometimes eating stuff like that keeps me accountable to get my ride in because I know I got to burn. That makes sense.
Speaking of vices, did you know that you're responsible for giving me one?
Oh no. What is it?
Do you know about this?
I do not. Oh, Snus?
Yeah.
You
and Bill at Kansas City Chiefs game.
We had Snus.
When it was cold as shit. I have not stopped ever since then. That game was like 5 years ago.
That was the worst game I've ever been to. It was cold. It was raining the whole time. We didn't have appropriate clothing. We're huddled around in this tent.
It was terrible. I think I drank like 15 hot chocolate, vodka hot chocolates just to try and stay warm. And then I took Snus. And then on the way home, like, that was kind of cool. I liked the way that felt, and I liked it in my lip. And so I bought a can on the way home.
Oh, no, dude.
And then I've tried to quit probably 5 times, and I can't. And I wake up in the morning, I put one in. Before I go to bed, I spit it out, and I brush my teeth. Like, I have one in all day long.
I'm so sorry.
I have it in when I run. I switched it out while I was running. Like, it's terrible.
I'll let you know this. I do the snus and those tobacco products occasionally now. But it's usually when I'm drinking and I want to be done drinking, I'll just throw one in if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, I apologize. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. One of these days I'll have the mental fortitude and able to do this. Like, it's.
I know you got the mental fortitude to do it.
It's one thing at a time, right? Like, first it's diet, then it's training. If all that shit can fall in line, then maybe I'll have enough left over to kick this habit. But
I'm gonna put that on Billy.
Yeah, I put it on everyone that was with us on that.
Fair enough.
That trip.
Because I feel like we probably bum those off someone else.
Yeah, and Ray I think still does it occasionally, like when I'm in town. I think they all do it. Like when I'm around, they're like, "Hey, let me get a snus," like because they know I have it.
Yeah, you have it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of continue into kind of college because I think I had a very different college experience on training, nutrition. I think that my coach, and by the way, I'm having my track coach on here next week because he was probably one of the guys that I respect so much for training, and he only dialed in his throwers nutrition after I graduated.
Oh man. And
so I'm like, fuck, like, why didn't you do that for me? And so I'm going to have him on here. We're going to have an honest conversation. But I'm all I focused on was training, and I ate everything I could. Like, just to give you an example, most nights, like I was known, and Brian Helene, Brian lived with me for 3 years of 4 years in college, and almost on a nightly basis, I would have a large Dr. Pepper, a double meat, 12-inch Subway sandwich, turkey bacon, double meat, chips, and cookies.
Yeah.
Almost nightly.
Not good.
That was like my shit. It's disgusting looking back on it, but that was my soul food in that moment. And I ballooned. I mean, in college, in my junior year, after all the beer, all the terrible eating, even though I was lifting heavy and I was probably strong as fuck. I weighed 285, right? And I'm only 5'10", 5'11".
Right. That's big.
So I'm just portly.
Yeah.
But my strength was, and I can't even say my strength was there, right? Because I was all legs, and my back squat was 550, I think, and my dead was like over 6, and my bench was 275.
Mm-hmm.
That's despicable.
Yeah.
Right?
For
And like,
to have that big a weight going and then have,
yeah, you can't, if you can't even bench your body weight,
Right.
there's an issue. You know, where you, right, in college, like what were your marks in college, even with a knee injury?
Okay. So, I had the knee issues. I think the most I ever squatted. Matter of fact, I can tell you exactly. I'll never forget it. I had 405 on, so I had 4 plates on squat, and I repped it for 3 times. We were doing a rep max. My clean was 130 kilos, which is 292,
yeah,
290 or something.
Yep.
No, it's not. Yeah, do that math. I don't know. 130 kilos.
130 kilos times 2.2, 286.
286. So that was my clean, and then I want to say my bench was 300 pounds. I was not the strongest linebacker, but you know, those were like kind of mediocre numbers for where I was at.
Dude, you fucking looked.
Yeah,
you looked it.
Yeah, I looked at probably, but I wasn't. I mean, some people call those popcorn muscles. I wasn't. I wasn't like freakishly strong. There were some dudes, especially at Northern Iowa, that were freaks.
Fiacco?
Yeah, Fiacco was one of the biggest freaks ever.
Am I remembering this right? Did he cut tons of weight after college?
Yeah, he's really lean right now. He's actually an athletic director and head football coach in Texas. I talked to him about a month ago. Yeah. And so but I was physical and I could run enough. But the knees just kind of plagued me. And, you know, after I transferred from Northern Iowa, I just never really, you know, I ended up at a Division II school in St. Charles, where I had some success my senior year, you know, but the knee injuries really plagued me. But our lifts we were squatting 4 days a week in some form at UNI as freshmen, as redshirt, especially your first year. They're trying to get you big. You know, you're full squatting one day, you're front squatting another day, you're
box squat,
power cleaning into a front squat another day, full cleans. You know, you're box squatting another day. You're doing 4 days of squatting. Yep. So my knee, I was fresh off an ACL in high school, so it kind of bothered my other knee, I think, in the long run, because I was overcompensating and I wasn't gonna like not go balls to the wall. Yeah. You know, so it is what it is. But I mean, yeah, we were strong all around, but we definitely focused on the legs more because those were the functional lifts.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, that makes complete sense. And then from a nutrition standpoint, like, is there anything that you learned in college that you didn't know in high school about nutrition, how to eat for strength, anything at all?
We, to be honest, we were at the phase as freshmen. You're working out so much. I pretty much ate whatever I wanted in the calf.
Yeah.
Because I was burning it and I was still trying to keep weight on. You're trying to be big. You know, you're playing, you know, mid-level, you know, FCS football. You know, you have to be big. You're lifting so much. You're burning so many calories. I pretty much ate what I wanted. It was really after college to where that weight, I got older and I wasn't working out. That now I know is probably more about nutrition, because at that point it was like eat everything in sight, get big, protein. Yep. You know, we were mixing Gatorade powder with a scoop of protein and water before we went into lift and drinking it while we lifted. Think about that sugar, and you know what I mean? Just like get big, gain weight, you know?
No, that makes complete sense. And yeah, I think I had that similar mentality. It's just like, I'm lifting heavy, I need to eat a lot, and I'm going to gain the muscle, right? Like, and I know so much more now than I did then, about how to eat appropriately to gain muscle.
Sure.
And it's very similar to the way that you lose weight. You got to add incrementally over time in a calorie surplus with the proper calories. And if you want to lose weight, you decline your calories over time in a calorie deficit. And, and nothing comes overnight. And I also think that, you know, I think our generation was probably the start of that. You know, give me it now. I want to see it now, because we
100%.
had the internet, we had all these things. Like, I'm curious for you too, because I've always been fascinated by the thought of taking a pill that could help me to get what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so like I used to take fucking hydroxycut in high school, like the good stuff that had like the ephedra in it, which
Fedra.
would
Oh
make
yeah.
my
That,
heart palpitate on a treadmill.
dude. You're like,
Like,
yeah.
and like knowing that now, it's like, okay, that can't believe I took that as an 18-year-old. But nonetheless, you know, I've always been fascinated by the world of supplements and sports nutrition, because I think there's a place where they play. You know, in college, did you supplement? Did you ever get into supplements, or were you
Yeah.
always food first?
Yeah, no. We when I was at UNI, it was just whey protein, and we would do that with the Gatorade, and then we would hammer food at the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
When I got into Lindenwood, there was this supplement superstore. It started in St. Louis, the S2 Factor or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Probably heard of it. And they had this stuff called, I think it was Ignition. It was more of basically just sugar mixed
Mm-hmm.
with their protein. And my cousin's boyfriend at the time, he worked at one of the stores in South County, St. Louis. When I was at Lindenwood and St. Charles, I would drive down. He would get me a super good deal, and I would pick up all my supplements there. And no, I always took my my protein, especially right after I lifted.
Yep.
You know, because I still do believe there's that window after you
Yep.
get a workout in. You got to fuel those
real.
muscles. It's real. I mean, you got to fuel those muscles. So I mixed the Ignition with the whey protein, and it just, you know, I don't know if you've ever not had protein after you got a huge lift and you're like, I got to get something in my body.
Yeah.
I got to fuel those muscles. And I still believe that's real. So oh yeah, there you go. So I was always into, and I still am, you know, my girlfriend and I, she does CrossFit a couple days a week. She's starting to got a mountain bike. She's riding. We keep protein in the corner, and we drink that, you know, after every workout.
Yeah. So are you basically just protein guy? Do you take anything else, like for
At this point,
joints as we're getting old? No.
At this point, I don't. You know, I take some fish oil and some osteobiflex for my joints.
Okay. Yeah.
Joint thing. I actually got to get more of that stuff. But I really just protein. I like getting my sources from real food more than anything.
Yep.
But I do have the whey protein with some low fat milk after I work out.
Yeah. No.
Especially.
No, that makes complete sense. Yeah, it's one of the things that, like when I'm turned on, like there's a switch for me. Like I mean, you've seen me over the years. You see me yo-yo like everyone else that's ever known me.
Sure.
And so like when I'm on, that's whey protein is definitely part of that game plan. And it has been, it's always been one that I gained results from. I was just curious how much in college they pushed it. I know now, you know, it's typically we're pushing certified third-party tested product, right? Because there's still some bad players within the space. But whey protein being a big one, and then really like post-workout recovery, branched chain amino acids, essential amino acids are critical. And if they have like sodium, you know, some salt in them and some coconut powder for hydration, even better, right? And so that's when I go on my runs and I know I'm burning a shit ton of calories, and I have a high, are you familiar with a company called Ghost?
I am. A guy that I work with, he's a PE teacher and the head soccer coach at the school I work at, wears Ghost hats. He's got the Ghost bag, I think, where he's got a cooler. It's like a cooler built into the bag, and he can hold his different meals. Does that sound right?
Potentially. I mean, he's probably, I mean, it sounds like 6-pack. I don't think Ghost has those.
But he's got the pack that he brings all his meals in, and then he's got the Ghost hat, Ghost shirts, but he's all about Ghost products.
Yeah. They're, so he's what they would call a legend. But they're the first to come out with like real consumer packaged good collabs. And so if as a Husky boy, I'm a big fan of their protein when I work out. So this is a Nutter Butter.
Okay.
Like
Wow.
it has real chunks of Nutter Butter cookies in
So
it.
it tastes good.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they're a good brand, but they're really good at marketing, and they're really good at creating a culture of people. Clearly, you see a guy that's all about it. That's how their fan base is, which is super cool.
Yeah, he wears a ghost hat every single day.
And they're Chicago guys.
Yeah, the Chicago guys love it.
No, they are Chicago guys. Ghost.
Oh, they're Chicago guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's okay. Wow, all right.
So they're like Blackhawks fans and all that stuff, which I can relate to.
Yeah.
So, all right, no, that's awesome. So what rides do you have coming up? Like, anything long, anything crazy?
The biggest one I've ever done last year, I did. My nameplate is over here somewhere. I did Dirty Kansas 200. It's a 202-mile gravel race in Emporia, Kansas, with 10,000 feet of elevation. Yeah. I did that last year, and you get a little patch if you finish before the sun sets. I beat the sun by 11 minutes.
That's awesome.
I trained like crazy for that race, but I did that. It took me 14 hours and 34 minutes total course time on the bicycle.
Jesus.
Yeah, but that was a big one. I had signed up for a 150-mile gravel race this year that got canceled because of Corona. But to be honest, I'm not signed up for any races right now because of the virus.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean – that's another good talking point. Even though I'm not signed up for races, it's all about the process. Mm-hmm. It's not so much about the end result. If you don't – like for right now, you're doing this 30-day challenge.
Yep.
If you didn't enjoy working out, if you didn't enjoy what you're doing, then you're not going to find results. Mm-hmm. If everybody's just looking for the result – you know, for example, if you're a high school athlete and you hate practicing, you're not going to succeed in college as let's say a football player, because you got to love the process. You got to love practicing. You got to love working out. You can't just do it for the games. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing with me is I love riding my bike. The races just come because I'm ready for them because I like riding. So it's something to work forward to. Yeah. But I love riding. So that's why I'm going to have some success doing a race like that. If you don't love what you're doing, you won't have success.
So when are you coming to Idaho to ride on the sick Idaho courses?
I would absolutely love that.
So would Billy. He'd want to come.
Well, maybe me and Billy will book a flight and I can rent some bikes. We can rent some bikes while we're out there. Cause he just got a road bike. I was up in Des Moines. Yeah.
Actually, no, I actually had a call with him the other day, and he said he's been riding a lot. He's been putting in like 20 miles a day.
Yeah, he has. He bought a road bike, and I actually went up with him to pick up the bike from Ankeny. Okay. And and so we did a ride. I actually made a video of us.
I saw that. Luke was with you too, right?
Luke. Yeah. So, but I think the biggest thing is if I didn't love cycling, I'm not going to have success in those races. Yeah. You got to love what you're doing.
And you ride to and from your work. I mean,
during the football season, I do because practices are long and it's hard for me to get rides in during football. Yeah. So I'll put a light on and I'll be up and I'll ride. And the days I don't commute, every Tuesday from football to wrestling, I actually rode 22 miles. I would leave the house at 4:30 a.m. I'd get back, I'd cook breakfast, I'd shower, and then I'd go to work. And I just love it, man. You know.
Well, that's the other thing though, is like the more I get into this game, the more I'm seeing like commonalities in individuals, right? Like there is something to be said when you are the only one out, you know, even before 6 a.m.
Or cars,
and everyone's fucking sleeping and you're out getting work in.
Yeah, man.
Like there is a mental like switch that happens there to say, I am outworking everyone else right now. And that can be extremely empowering. There's
times when I get to work and I've already been up for 3 hours. I mean, I've already had a whole day. But dude, I think more of anything, I'm addicted to it.
Yeah.
I have an addiction. I can look on my Strava, but I want to say I've got 360 hours of time biking this year, and that's moving time.
Yeah.
It's not driving to the mountain bike trails, and 4,500 total miles, this year already. I'm about it, man. And I think if you're going to have success, and there is that fear of, I don't want to be big. I want to fit into those 34 pants. I have pants that are size 40s.
Yep.
My first suit I bought was a size 40, the pants.
Yep.
That's no lie. Size 40. I wear a 34 now.
Wow.
I have a fear of getting back to that point. I don't want that to happen. But I also love the shit out of riding my bikes, man.
Yeah.
So you just got to love it, dude. And I'm addicted to it. I crave it, man.
So I don't want to get too far off topic, but since
Yeah.
you are an educator, I'd love to just get your opinion on what's happening in the world today.
Oh, good.
Right.
Wow.
Especially with you, especially like with COVID, like not allowing kids to go back to school, allowing kids to go back to school. Like I would love to just hear your take. So we're a little bit more relevant on topics that people are talking about too.
Yeah. What we are doing is they released a plan from our school is they're going to give the kids, because schools are funded through attendance, through graduation rates, and they're funded through the economy. So schools have taken a hit. They're giving the kids the option if they don't feel safe. It's a decision. Their families decide. It's a family decision that they're allowed to come to school, but if they don't, it's going to be virtual, which means the teachers have to prepare things to be sent home virtually. So right now, from what I understand is my district, from what they sent out, is they're going to give the kids the option. And if they don't physically come to school, the attendance will not count against them. Okay. But the teachers will then have to provide them work at home. From what I understand is the teachers will have to be at work, and everyone's going to be required to wear a mask. Darren, I can't really – I don't have a whole lot to comment just because I feel like there's so much in the news that there's no clear – there's not much clarity when it comes to what's happening with COVID, with the numbers. So I think more than anything, one thing I would hate to see a kid get COVID, because they say kids are mostly – they're not affected. They're the carriers for the most part. But I hate to see them go home and get their grandparent sick and their grandparent die of COVID. You know what I mean? That would suck. But I also think that kids need to be in school. They need to get back to school in some fashion. There needs to be some sort of structure in their life. I think football and soccer and sports and volleyball in the fall, those things are important. Those things are very important for kids. How devastated would you be if you were a track athlete last year and they canceled your season? As a senior?
Well, I'm dealing, with a 3.5-year-old that is, scared to walk up to other kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's this whole thing is going to have a dramatic impact on, the socialization of our society.
I agree.
Like an entire cohort of people aren't going to be comfortable going up and having a conversation with a stranger. And I feel like now more than ever, we need that connection, right?
Yes.
Like there's all this other social unrest happening that's dividing us. And we have pandemic that's not allowing us to communicate or be close to one another. And it's a perfect storm of just shit.
It is.
But the good thing is that, I think there's a silent majority that is just fucking good people. Like there's so many goddamn good people in this world.
Sure.
And all this, I don't like that. I either watch all the media or none of the media because, you can't just watch one stream because it's all one stupid fucking tabloid narrative. Right. And it's just, for me, I'm trying to stay in my lane. I'm trying to say, I don't care who you are, what you are, where you come from. We're all here together. Fitness doesn't see color.
No.
Fitness doesn't see, how much money you have or what class of society you reside. Fitness and health and wellness and camaraderie is a universal fucking language.
Yes,
whether
it is.
you ride a bike, you're on the golf course, you lift weights, you love CrossFit, whatever it is, find it, be passionate about it, and help make the world better. Like that's what you're doing on a daily basis. I love to see it. I love watching your tie rides. I started watching some of them. And I just appreciate everything that you're doing. Everything. I mean, I had no idea like that you did that for work. And that's a very, very gratifying thing, I'm sure.
Thanks. I had 27 or I had 25, I think, grads, 25 or 26 grads last year. My first year, I took it over halfway through the year. I had 13 grads. This year, I have 28 kids who otherwise would not have probably graduated now have diplomas through the program. So that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, man. And another thing is, what's cool with the bike thing is I'll ride my bike to work, and kids just, they see, hey, there's Coach Epstein, he's riding.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed at how many people, especially during this pandemic, have reached out that watch the channel and want to ask me questions about bikes. My buddy who I used to coach wrestling with just got a bike. We did a ride 2 days ago. I mean, so many messages like, hey, I'm thinking about getting a bike. What should I get? And that if I can motivate people to ride and help them, that's what I want to do. Because I think that if I didn't have cycling during this pandemic, when I was working from home and during the summer when you can't go out and do other things, dude, I would have gone crazy, Darren.
Yeah.
I would have gone nuts. Cycling, though, it gives me something to go do and something to look forward to, whether it be golf, whether it be CrossFit, whether it be running, whether it be freaking rowing a kayak. Go find something you like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure, brother. Anything that you would like to say to, the few individuals that are going to be able to see this podcast? I'd like to be able to just kind of let them know where you're at. Like, I would love to know, like, how you really felt about yourself when you got up to 270. Because I assume that many people share those same inner feelings, but maybe, and so I don't mean to put you on the spot to share your feelings, but vulnerability is a piece of the healing process, right? So how you felt, and then how you overcame, and then how you feel about yourself today.
When I got to 270, I did not feel good about myself. And I think not only, mentally did I not feel good. Obviously physically, I just did not feel good. I was eating fast food, and, I think that when I started to lose the weight, it was actually a weight loss competition that got me started through my school. And they weighed us before and they weighed us after. And the lady that beat me, she had just had a baby when she started the competition. And then like the 2 months after they weighed us again, she had lost all of her baby weight. Good for her. I mean, she looked awesome. But she was the only person I lost to in the competition. But the competition did kind of help me because it motivated me. I'll never forget this. The night before we weighed in, I had lost a ton of weight. And I went out and I put sweats on. And I ran like 5 miles just trying to drain the water. Like I was cutting weight for wrestling. And then I weighed in and she still got me. But that got it started. And now it's not so much competing with anyone else. It's competing with myself. I make it a mental thing. I'll set a goal for miles. Let's say, my mom just turned 61 the other day. Well, I did 61 miles for her birthday. I'd seen her the weekend before. And I was back home in KC and I rode 61. I just set mini goals every day.
That's awesome.
And I think you can't always compete with someone else. Compete with yourself though. Set goals for yourself and love what you do.
Talk to me about this app though. The Strava, right?
Strava?
Like,
Okay.
can't you compete against other people? You see what other people are doing for work and you're like, someone's fucking outworking me.
Me and my buddies actually started a bike race. We call it the COVID-19 Crusher. We had 2 routes and we made a 68-mile segment and a 29-mile segment. We invited people to come race it. We had 120 participants.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And they had to join by buying a $20 gift card to any local establishment. And there's 2 bike shops they could turn them into. One of the bike shops donated a brand new bike for to be given away. The other shop gave a rack. It was a really success. We made a logo and everything. But Strava is an app that it records all your miles. It uses GPS. It's free, or you can do a paid version. And you have segments. So let's say I go out right now and I do a segment. I do a ride. There's probably, maybe 10 segments. It shows my time from like maybe one road to the other. Well, in a year, if I've gotten stronger, I can go back and I can say, man, I did it in this time. Now I'm this much stronger. It factors in your calories. And so it just looks like this. You're not going to be able to see that.
Let me see it.
Okay. Well, either way, it shows your weekly miles. You can set goals. So I can set a yearly goal of how many miles I want to do or how much time I want to ride. And I can look back and I can look at my total distance ever. Right now I'm at 4,465 miles this year and 357 hours and 56 minutes. My total rides ever, it shows that like 1,100 or something. And I've got like 26,000 total miles. So you can track your stuff. It's pretty cool.
I don't know what the Earth's diameter is, but would you want to be able to say that you rode your bike the equivalent of the Earth's diameter?
That'd be pretty cool.
Right?
I don't know how big it is either. That's a good question. I know
Like,
across the country is like 3,000.
and you already surpassed that this year.
This
So
year I'm way
4,500.
4,500. Let's see.
Yeah.
Total rides all time, 1,107. Total distance, 26,686 miles. Biggest ride, 202 miles was that gravel race. So
Wow.
you can track all of that stuff.
That's super cool. So I know you said the mini stuff, but it sounds like you got you made some friends along the way to help with some accountability.
I did. Very good question. I have a group I ride with, 3 buddies who are very strong cyclists. 2 of them I ride gravel with. One of them is just a mountain biker, but we keep each other accountable. We push each other. We have a group. We call ourselves the KC Gravel Crushers. And, you know, without them, I wouldn't be half the cyclist I am. And I don't know that they'd be as good either because, you know, hey, we're riding at this time. It gives me a time somewhere I got to be. We're doing this much miles. We push each other. You know, we have great conversations along the way. And I owe a lot to them. And I think a community of whatever you're doing, you'll make friends. Go out and do an activity, you'll meet people, like-minded people. And Darren, that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up, man.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's part of, you know, what I'm trying to build too is a community. Right. And it doesn't need to be, you know, just me and whoever's in this community. Like you can find sub cohorts within the community that, you know, maybe you're the same age as or have the same interests, and you guys can even virtually, like this 30-day challenge, I'm doing it against guys in Australia, and we're just interacting in you know, over the internet, over
How
Instagram.
cool is that? How cool is that?
It's super cool. And the accountability is crazy because like I'll wake up in the morning and they post like what they did.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, fuck, now I got to go. Right?
That's so cool.
And so this is what I'm trying to show the community of what I'm trying to build. And accountability is and always will be, I think, the biggest factor in someone's success or in non-success in whatever journey they choose to be on.
You are 100% correct. And don't think that, you know, when I do a 100-mile ride and I post that to Strava, don't think that's not a little feather in my cap, dude.
Yeah.
I like when people see that. I like getting those kudos on the rides because you can give kudos. That makes me feel good. So even that app, if my buddies can't ride, that kind of keeps me accountable.
And that's it. And that's, I love that so much. That's awesome.
And you'd be amazed at the amount of friends that I've never even met, that I've met through social media, that we're constantly talking. I've never even met them. I've known them for years. I've never met them in person.
Yeah. And I'm dealing with that too. I know a lot of guys in the sports nutrition industry that, you know, do not work with bodybuilding.com at all, but they're in the industry, and we have, you know, a kinship online, and we talk almost daily, and it's one of those things. I've never even met them. And so, but yet they're still rooting on Husky Boy, appreciate what I'm doing, and loving them for like holding me accountable to like what I'm saying I'm doing too. So I think accountability, sustainability, finding something you love, that's what we talked about today. Right. And just
100%, man. 100%. So love what you do, man. Love what you do.
I appreciate your time today, T.
Yeah,
it was great catching up with you. I hope you come out to Idaho. People, please go follow and subscribe to T's YouTube channel. Follow my rides on Instagram. And we will get this episode up probably later this afternoon. But Tyler, it was great seeing you. I know you got a ride this afternoon. Eat some carbs, brother. Fuel your ride, and we'll catch you on the flip.
Dude, that was awesome, man.
Thank you.